In a powerful kingdom, where the king believed no one was wiser than him, a poor village boy once walked into the royal court. And by the end of the day, the king himself would admit defeat. But what did this boy know that the king didn't? The kingdom of Arvindor was known for its powerful ruler, King Adrin. He was wealthy, respected, and feared. But he had one weakness: his pride. King Adrin believed that wisdom belonged only to kings and scholars. To prove it, he often challenged visitors with difficult riddles. Anyone who answered correctly was rewarded with gold. But those who failed were humiliated and sent away. One day, news of the king's challenge reached a small village far from the palace, and there lived a poor boy named Rayon. Rayon lived in a small wooden hut with his widowed mother. They had very little food, and sometimes went to sleep hungry. But Rayon possessed something far more valuable than wealth. He was curious. He asked questions about everything, about life, people, and the world. When he heard about the king's challenge, he smiled. "Maybe the king needs to learn something," he said quietly. The villagers laughed when they heard his plan. "A poor boy cannot defeat a king," they said. But Rayon began walking toward the palace anyway. After days of walking, Rayon finally reached the palace. The guards laughed when they saw him. "You," one guard said, "you think you can challenge the king?" But the boy stood calmly. "I only wish to answer his questions," he replied. Curious, the guards allowed him inside. Soon, the poor boy stood before the powerful King Adrin. The king leaned forward and laughed. "Very well, boy," he said. "If you are wise, answer this. What is the most powerful thing in the world?" The scholars whispered among themselves. Some had once said it was gold. Others had said armies. But the boy answered without hesitation. "Thought," he said. The room fell silent. The king raised an eyebrow. "Interesting," he said. "But tell me this. What travels faster than the wind?" The court waited. Rayon smiled again. "The human mind," he replied. "It can travel across the world in a single moment." The scholars nodded slowly. Even the king seemed impressed. But he wasn't ready to lose. The king leaned back in his throne. "Very well, boy," he said. "One last question. If you answer correctly, I will reward you with gold. But if you fail, you must leave the kingdom forever." The boy nodded calmly. The king asked, "What is something that even a king cannot control?" The court grew silent. And looked around the grand palace, at the golden throne, at the soldiers, at the wealthy nobles. Then he spoke softly. "A king cannot control time or truth. Time moves forward no matter how powerful you are, and truth eventually reveals itself." The room fell completely silent. First time in years, King Adrin had no answer. He slowly stood from his throne. The boy had defeated him, not with power, not with wealth, but with wisdom. The king looked at the young boy and smiled. "You have taught me something today," he said. "Wisdom does not belong to kings. It can be found anywhere, even in the heart of a poor boy." King kept his promise. He rewarded the boy with gold and offered him a place in the royal court. But Rayon refused. "I only came to share wisdom," he said. "My village needs me more than a palace." The king watched as the boy walked away from the throne room, and for the first time in his life, King Adrin felt truly humble. The boy returned to his village, not as a hero, but as someone who reminded the world of a simple truth. Wisdom does not come from wealth, or power, or titles. True wisdom comes from curiosity, humility, and the courage to think. And sometimes, the wisest person in the room is the one no one expects. Remember this: the world often listens to the loudest voices, but true wisdom sometimes speaks through the quietest ones. And the question is, will we be wise enough to listen?